Hello and welcome back to a new episode of Learning with Laura. In this new episode, I'll try to explain what is the supply chain for the paperback industry. In order to do that, I will divide this presentation in three different parts. In the first part of this video, I will try to give you a general idea of the supply chain. In the second part of the video, I'll explain what information systems are involved in this process and how they contribute within the supply chain. And finally, I'll explain what are the problems the paperback might face in the future. So let's get started. There are three main steps in the supply chain for a paperback. The first one is called procurement, the second one is the production, and the third one is distribution. The first step, called procurement, involves the operations that are directed toward finding the supplies. In this case, all the trees and the wood that is required to produce the pulp, that is what is used to produce paper. So the second step, which is production, is when the intermediary product is produced. Let's say the paper by itself and the paperback. And the last one is the distribution. This one is when they move these plastic bags from that place to the final wholesalers or the consumers. So this is what the supply chain will look like. First of all, we got the harvesting and cutting of branches. In this part, which is procurement, as I said before, they have to make sure that they have enough wood to produce all the paper that they've got. In the second one, which is production, they use all these wood and other materials that they collect to do the pulp, which is basically the material they use to convert all these trees in paper. And finally, we got the distribution. So once the paper leaves the factory as a paper bag, they ship these products to the distributors, which could be wholesalers, or on the other hand, it could also be the final consumer. Okay, so now that you understand what the supply chain is, I'll try to explain you now what are the information systems that are needed in the supply chain. So first of all, they usually use this tool called Enterprise Resource Planning, or ERP. This one is used to update information about the various parts of the chain within a company. This one is very useful as this tool connects and sort of give feedback to one part of the chain to another. They also use this tool called VMI, which is called a vendor managed inventory. This one is mainly used to see the relationships between orders and dispatch. So a customer just places an order and the producer promises a price and delivers it in date. These are the two main information systems that are used in the supply chain. Okay, so for this last part, I'm going to talk about the challenges that these paperback might face in the future. First of all, I'll say they are gonna probably face some problems with the wooden, because nowadays people are more they realize more the necessity to take care of the environment. So I found out there are some pretty interesting new systems that I'm trying to integrate the water footprint by approaching the next thing. They are trying to integrate cost and performance related to water, so people would be more mindful when they use the water. That's called a water footprint. And the second one will be wood availability. So they will have to make probably some regressions in the past and in the future to be able to produce how much to predict how much trees and how many forests will be available in the future. There are some solutions, like the case of beyond reduction. They say that these companies should partner with another companies so they can diverse the things they do, and so nothing will be wasted. So in this case, he gave an example about energy generation and paper milling. They said they could join together and they could integrate their operations so they would not be waste at all.